I am from New York. I'm a native New Yorker. So I grew up also spending time in Long Island. And the journey out to Bridgehampton kind of is a journey through time. There's so many reminders of a past, even in the way townships are named in Long Island. So I was conscious of that going in. And then to learn, not only through research, but also through Flavin's moves formally, that the building was a firehouse. It was a Baptist church, an African-American Baptist church. And those things were in conversation. So that was just a scenario that I felt was an invitation to begin my process. Like, where are we? What else happened here? Pointing more to geologic time, as well as points of encounter that we often render invisible. And that for me was the encounter of the indigenous community and sense of land and place and time, and I guess at that point we would say the enslaved African. And so I was interested in trying to create a work that gave form to some of those encounters without it being a narrative or literal or didactic in any way. With that, I looked more at maps of the Atlantic Ocean. And so for the forms, they are this kind of amalgam of these bays that are local to the location where the sculptures are, but choosing maps that had records of the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, and thought like how poetic and how deeply moving to merge those two notions of space, of water, of humans' inclination to try to make still something that is always ever moving. The piece outside, titled Birthmark, is this notion of a monument, but also a kind of counter-monument in many ways to modes of displacement. But it's a stone, a boulder really, that was sourced locally, a form that is sculpted naturally through water and land. On it is a bronze plate, merging all three contours of the sculptures inside into a new form. It's its own body of water that is non-existent. And so the poetics of that was also extremely interesting to me. When I think of a Black church or a Baptist church, immediately it's a sonic register. So I have a score that I did in collaboration with artist Jamal Cyrus. And that piece really honors the sonic history of the building. This work is a still life on a monitor overlaid with text and sound. For a solo piano, alto saxophone, or tambourine, this score may be realized in any imaginative way, or in conjunction with or in response to the work by Thelonious Monk titled Evidence. And I and Jamal were really drawn to Thelonious Monk as a source of inspiration for the roots of a kind of spiritual grounding in avant-garde practices in jazz. So this notion of evidence pointing to something so elusive. And then there's metadata and back-end programming. I like leaving that material trace. I think that's also visual material that does need to become present in artwork for aesthetic and functional reasons. I would say since 2004, I have had a fascination with still life as a genre, not as a painter, but as a photographer. Still life is just an interesting platform for complex histories to converge. And I call those works still lives as I do this score in many ways, because I do think that we have to connect those dots, to why certain forms are appropriate. And even if they are dislocated, like not necessarily directly about the thing, but they are in essence a manifestation of it. And so that form is something that I continuously return to over and over and over again. I think it's a very rich form. It's just this kind of rapture in a space. And I find that to be an evocative place to continue to make work. And so to have this enter into this constellation of works at DIA Bridgehampton, I think is another way for me to see the richness and the depth of pointing to that history